support or endorse Common Core standards? Are they saying, how come you left out the STEM standards? Nobody's asking. It is a bizarre situation all the way around. Who are the members of the validation committee? I've already explained that there were only 2 of us who actually understood the content of the standards. And there were mainly people in education schools, or a few administrators in the schools, and a few other people who were administrators at higher ed. But the people who could evaluate the content to determine whether you had rigorous standards were simply not there, aside from Professor Milgram and me. And we were not about to sign off. Its purpose, as I've mentioned to you, was to assure everybody. In other words, what you're dealing with today are 2 sets of standards that have never been validated by anybody. Because the validation committee was basically a rubber stamp. That was what we figured out. By the end of the year, we were simply to sign off. And of course, that was why I didn't sign off, because I've never been a rubber stamp. I've just been a nuisance when I've been in town meeting in Brookline, because I don't vote for something I don't understand. And in Brookline, they often, when the issues were rent control or smoke control, there were all kinds of things that I couldn't understand, so I wouldn't vote if I didn't understand anything. And I just said, we never got any of the information we asked for. We wanted information on what countries we were internationally benchmarked to. Never could get those. What was the research base for anything? Couldn't get that. So there was nothing I could sign off on. The validation committee was over, its work done by May of 2010. The extra little piece that is of sort of humorous interest now is that the final version of the standards didn't come out till a week later. So there we were, validating a document that wasn't the final version of the standards. And what was even worse was that there were changes being made to that document behind the scenes that last week. I know in ELA, because I was part of the little group. It was a 5-way conversation, and I knew there were changes being made. Milgram didn't know who was making the changes, but he says the public comment draft that he saw in March had a lot of strengths. He thought it looked pretty good. And then when he saw the final document in June, which is after he's already refused to sign off, he couldn't recognize the document. He doesn't know what happened to it. But this was all behind the scenes. No